Hey, it's the Reckless Retiree here, and I'm going to show you something I've shown you before, I think. I have a hard time keeping up with exactly what I've put on YouTube, and I haven't, but I guess it doesn't hurt to do it again. Plus, there's a little twist in the gibbet there. So, okay, this is the HHO torch that I have purchased from Amazon and Company, and this shows the level of the fuel, which is, I say fuel, it's not fuel, it's water in lye. And electrolyte, that's what I mean to say, electrolyte. So there's a HHO cell within this unit, and the electrolyte goes into the cell, and then the cell with electricity makes gas, which is then goes through this bubbler and then out into the torch. Voila. You want to hear the torch? Hear that? Okay, that's HHO. You heard this thing bubbling. The water, the HHO is going through the bubbler. It's bubbling. That's why it's called that. Okay, so when it's empty and you turn it on, this jumps up to about 13 amps. Then it makes it the gas until the tank is full, and then it drops to zero, as you can see here. So all this is leading to the test of the latest bubble banger, and we'll be doing that later. But first, we have to fill up the tanks, if we're going to use tanks, which I think probably is going to be preferable. Now, you could just take this torch and take the actual torch off of it, put the hose into the water, actually put a flashback arrestor in the hose, put it in the water, and you could feed gas into that bubble banger for hours. Now, the newest method of ignition of the bubble banger that we're going to test today is using wetting sparklers. And the thing about wetting sparklers is they are low smoke or smokeless, which means they smoke less, not that there's no smoke. And also they are long. They last, I think the ones I bought last 4 minutes. So with a box of these sparklers, you could have your bubble banger go for hours, if that's what you desire. But you'd have to have a 110 AC power supply, or outlet nearby. I mean, you could have a rectifier in your car and plug it into your extension cord plugged into that, and then this plugged into that, and so you could be, I don't know, 100 feet from your car, and maybe that's what you want, and this then work really well. But I'm thinking most people want to be portable with this unit. So they want to be able to go wherever with it, away from cars, away from buildings. And so this is the technique that I've come up with to do that. So I'm going to fill one of these things with water. I'm going to fill all these bottles with water. And then I'm going to invert them and fill them with HHO. I'm going to screw on the valve lid, and then I'm going to take my input-output pump, I'm going to call it. I don't know what its actual name is. And I've modified it to have the two bike valve hoses attached. And so I will attach one to a filled bottle, And then I will fill the other one to the tank that I want to use for the bubble banger. So this particular bottle has a valve on either end, and on the mouth end it has a balloon. And so the idea is I will use this pump to suck out the air of this bottle, so I get nothing but HHO in there. Then I will fill it up using the same pump with these bottles, transferring the HHO from them into this. And I found that I can get about 2 bottles worth into 1 bottle. And I'm guessing I don't have a pressure tester that's low enough, reads accurately low enough, but I'm guessing it's about 5 psi at that point. So if you hook this up to your bubble banger, you will get pressurized gas for a while, but then it will run out of pressure, and if you want any more out of the bottle, you have to squeeze it, therefore putting pressure on it. But my newest rendition, you put the 2 bottles of gas in this, and then when you're ready, you pump up the balloon inside, and that puts pressure on the gas without mixing anything with it. Because you may have seen my videos where I tried to pressurize it with other gases, and that negates its effect, which makes sense. But I still had to test it, you know, that's how I am. So anyway, then this could be up to 20, 30, 40 psi. Now, why you'd want it so high, you don't. You just want it probably about 10 to 20 psi to force the gas out of here, all the gas out of here. And so, then you hook it up to your bubble banger, which we have the pressure regulator on, and you regulate the gas so it's just getting the right amount of bubbles. You'll have to determine what that is in your situation. And then you light your sparkler. You'll then have 4 minutes of explosions, plus a sparkler. Hey! Now, if you're in a situation where you want no smoke, then this won't work, and you'll have to use some other means of lighting it. Now, I've shown you videos where I've been lighting them with a torch, which works for the most part, except when you get a really big explosion, and then it'll blow the flame out of the torch. Then you got to reignite the torch. So what that means is you have to be there next to the bubble banger the whole time it's operating, and ready to reignite it each time it goes out, which is not ideal. I tried buying a wind-resistant torch, and I didn't find it was any better than the torch I had. So there you go. And you have to remember too, I'm trying to keep the cost of this as low as possible. And the main expense is going to be your torch. Now you can buy a HHO cell, which would be cheaper, or you could make one yourself, cheaper still, especially if you get the materials for little or nothing. But what I found was it's really hard to get the whole system leak-free. You see these guys online with their HHO cells making gas, and they've obviously invested some serious money in connectors and such to make sure that it doesn't leak. But with this unit, it's leak-free, and I've been using it for a while. I found it works flawlessly, and it's about $140. You can get different ones that put out more gas or less gas. This is the least expensive one I've yet to find, and it's also, like I said, very reliable and safe. So this particular version doesn't itself have a flashback arrestor, but it must not need it for some reason. The bubbler, I guess, acts to some degree like a flashback arrestor because using the torch on and off, I've never had any flashbacks. So I'm not sure why that is, But they make larger versions that make more gas that do have flashback arresters if that makes you feel safer. But on the end of the hose, either using the unit itself or using the tank, there is a flashback arrestor. I have a flashback arrestor, which serves in two purposes. One is to hold the hose down all the way to the bottom, so there's no chance it would float to the top, and then the spark would go down the tube into the reservoir, as you've seen that I have done. And that was not good. So by having a weight on the end of the hose, it will not go to the surface. Number two, the flashback arrestor is that it doesn't allow the flash to go down the tube, and so you have double protection. All right, so now I'm going to fill my sinks, fill my bottles, and then fill this specialty tank. Then we'll go out to the garage and we will test the new Bubble Banger. Okay, so now I have my double valve bottle hooked to this pump with the other end open, and this is going to suck the air out of this bottle. All right, now we want to take a bottle of the gas and hook it up to the suction end. And one thing I've found is that it's ideal to hold the stem when you're pushing against it and then closing the valve. A little juggler. There we go. Okay, so now you hook this up to this end, which is your pressure. Great, Jason. All right, so now you're sucking out of the one bottle and putting the gas in the other bottle. Okay, should have had another bottle ready to go. Let's, some of it's transferred, I think. We're going to have to bring it back down. All right. Now, we're going to quickly hook up a second one. Come on. Okay, so. All right, so now we have double value in the bottle. It's stiff. It's leaking a little bit. I'm going to have to come up with a better way to do that.